All right, amigos y amigas, we are coming close to our first round of those exámenes grandes, those midterms, those finals. We want to make sure that when it comes to doing these big tests, we know how to prepare ourselves. So here is my quick rundown on what I recommend. So, yes, are these worth big points? You betcha. Does it need to be high stress? Not at all. So, don't be freaking out. Be really excited that you get to use your study guide that you have been working on every week since we started the class, putting in all those bits and pieces. You get to use it. But remember, it's the only thing you get to use. You may not use any other sites. You may not use any dictionaries. You can't use any friends or family. It has to just be what is on that document. So let's talk about how we make sure it is as strong as possible. So I'm going to say it's a three-step process. Review, revise, and then relax. If you handle those three steps, you will be ready for these tests. So first step, review. You need to go back through each unit that we have studied, and when you look at your study guide, you want to look for any gaps, any empty spots. Did you forget to put in a cultural note? Did you mean to go back and put in the objectives, but you kind of forgot? Speaking of objectives, you need to make sure that those objectives you list at the top of each unit, you actually have notes that match all the way through. So, for example, if you said, hey, I'm going to talk about how to conjugate AR verbs, well, you better have something in your notes that lays out how you go about conjugating verbs. And remember, all the information actually has to be on the guide. Even though we include links to things, you don't get to go to those links during the test itself. It has to be already in that guide. Next step is to revise, to look at the things that you already put in there, and this is your chance to see, are there errors that you need to fix? Are there issues, or are there comments that I left for you where I said, hey, go back and fix this, or make sure that you include that? This is your chance to make sure that all of those things are where you want them to be. You're also going to think about how you can streamline, simplify, and synthesize. What can you do to make this more specific and exact and useful to you? What can you put into your own words? What can you take from 2 paragraphs that you snipped out of the text into 3 sentences or bullet points or something that is really meaningful to you? Once you've done that, sit back and relax. You're going to rock this thing. But Profe, how on earth can I relax? I've never done this before. I don't even know what the heck the test even looks like. Well, let's talk about that. The tests are split into a lot of different sections so that you don't feel like everything is riding on just one piece of it. So it's going to be spread out over 2 days. On the first day, you'll have a vocabulary section and a grammar section. Multiple choice, it's the nitty-gritty details, easy stuff that you can pull from your study guide to help. You'll also have a writing section, maybe 1 question, maybe 2. If you stop, plan, and only using your study guide, take those resources that you've got, you will rock this. They're not going to ask you to do anything that you haven't already done before. The second day will be very similar. There'll be a reading and listening comprehension. Again, it's multiple choice. Remember to take your time. Think about things, review your answers, make sure you're feeling good about it before you move on to the next question. The speaking section will be much like the writing section. Read the prompt carefully, plan your workout before you hit record, make sure you are only using your study guide, no other outside sources, and you're good to go. Then, once you are done with those 2 days worth of tests, you sit back and you celebrate and you congratulate yourself on a job very, very well done. I do have to remind you just one more time though, the only source that you can use during these tests is what you have already put in your study guide. If I take a look at what you've done and there is any suspicion that the work is not yours and yours alone, I may be able to offer you a chance to redo it, but it would be for a maximum of 50% credit, which just isn't worth the gamble. Remember when you signed that code of conduct way back at the beginning of the course, and in particular 5, 6, and 7, I will not plagiarize any of my work, including the use of online translators, dictionaries, or other reference materials. Only the resources directed in the course or by my teacher. As your teacher, I am telling you it is only what you have in your study guide and not I'm going to click this link, it's going to take me to this one thing, it's going to take me to this one thing, it's going to take me to this one thing. It is what I can see without clicking any links when I open up your study guide. I'm not going to copy any of my work from others. Obviously, I'm going to do my own. And in addition to not copying, I'm not going to confer with anybody else either. I'm not going to ask my friends for help. If I have questions, I can ask Profe. But otherwise, I am taking my assessment and my exam completely on my own. If you do all of this, mis amigos, you are going to be just fine.